Hello, my name is Nathaniel Gridley. Today I will be talking about All Quiet on the Western Front. I'll be mostly talking about the 2021 adaptation on Netflix rather than the novel. However, I will be mentioning it a few times. This video will be specifically for my school, Southwestern Community College, and for my class of history. As someone who both watched the movie and read the novel, I can definitely say that there were some changes for the final script. Some of these instances were that there was a new scene of German and French officials meeting up each other, discussing about the end of the war. Also, the beginning and the end of the movie were entirely different from the original book. While most people would think that this could be a negative thing and will tarnish the 2021 movie, I find this very informative about the end of the First World War and definitely helps it out. There were many hidden meanings and messages that both producer and the author have put in their medias. However, one stood out the most. This is what I would like to call the Great Meat Grinder. In the Great Meat Grinder, both sides send out tons and tons of soldiers to fight it out and die only for a few yards just for them to lose it a day or two later. And this process just gets cycled over and over again with new troops. One scene proves this statement. In the beginning of the movie, we see a young German soldier fighting in the front lines. He's scared for his life but continues fighting. As he shoots his last round, he rushes a French soldier and stabs him. A little while after the battle, we see hundreds of dead bodies. As German soldiers are getting coffins ready for their fallen, we see the lifeless corpse of the young German soldier. We see his uniform getting torn off and then thrown into a cargo truck, which is taken to a factory. Then we cut to women washing and refurbishing clothes that were once worn by recruits. This is where we meet our protagonist, Paul, who was ironically handed the same clothes that the young German soldier once owned. Now, my teacher encouraged us students to put in pictures for our video. However, I am very terrible at editing and did not want to use PowerPoint, so I decided to come up with this as my picture. We see German soldier getting his uniform and stuff. We see him getting enlisted, fighting. He dies. Uniform is taken away from him and washed, and it goes all the way back here. This is what I'd like to call the circle of death. Even though the Germans were blamed for the First World War, I feel like it was everyone's fault. People will say that the Germans were cruel and deserved their downfall. However, every side were using crude ways to take advantage of one another. Each side both used horrible weapons of war like tanks, artillery, flamethrowers, and gas, and a ton more. Every side don't see their soldiers as fellow men, but only as numbers. One of the film's antagonists is the German general. It is shown throughout the film that he does not care for his soldiers' lives, but only for glory. A good quote that he says to state this emphasis is, let's see if you can see that pretty good. It's been 50 years with no war. What is a soldier with no war? German general. That's him. That's his father's shoes. Anyways, from what I got from this is that he's trying to fill his father's shoes, which he fought in a previous war, but from doing all of his actions, he failed drastically to do so, stating why His father's shoes are too big for him. Although there were a lot of corrupt officers in the German army, there were some who wanted to make a change. This is where we meet a German official who wanted to stop the war. He and a few other government German officials go to the French to start talking about a peace treaty. The French gave them an ultimatum. Either they take all the blame or the war continues on. Not wanting any more bloodshed, the German official signs the armistice. Although the war was about to be over, the German general got notice of what was happening and decided to have one last attack on the French trenches, which is where Paul eventually dies. All of Paul's friends died tragically, and he was the only one left. We can see on his face that he's emotionless and dead inside. He does not care about his or anyone's lives left. During the last fight, he tackles a French soldier and they both fall down the stairs. As they both get up drastically, they see that they're similar in age. They don't want to fight. They had their own lives before, but was stripped away from them. Unfortunately, another French soldier snuck up on Paul and stabbed him in the back. The first French soldier was stunned, but takes pity on him. He eventually leaves him to die. But in Paul's last moments in life, he sees that the war was over and sees that German and French soldiers are walking together.